There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes when prepping to vend a card show. This video will show you everything that you need and things that would be very nice to have when it comes to your first show. I'm Kaya from OneLife Collectibles, and let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with the equipment that you need no matter what size of show you'll be vending. First and foremost, you 100% need a display case and a binder. These are probably the most essential because this is where your inventory is going to be. Now I have two binders. The first one is for $1 to $5 cards from various eras, and the other one is a more organized binder for $10 to $25 cards that are mostly illustration rares, trainer galleries, VMAX cards. Now a display case is where all of your higher end cards should definitely be. The biggest reasoning is because you want your cards you want to sell to be visible when somebody first walks up to your table. When somebody walks up to your table and sees all these cool expensive cards right in front of them, it makes them easier to sell. Also, there's been a lot of thieves lately at card shows, especially binder thieves. So keeping your expensive cards in a binder is definitely not a good idea. Now, it would suck to have a $10 card get stolen, but at least it's better than a $100 card getting stolen that you could have prevented. The display case that I have also has a locking mechanism, which gives me a second layer of protection. Now that you got your case of binders figured out, you need inventory. Now this sounds very obvious, but I've actually seen vendors forget their entire inventory at home and either had to buy all day or just had to cancel the show entirely. I definitely recommend having a variety of cards from a variety of sets. Obviously, modern cards, especially IRs and SIRs, are going to be selling the most, but you will also always have vintage buyers come to your table. And everybody collects differently, so don't be afraid to have some very niche cards on your table. Now, not everybody's looking for a non-holo Yukimori Bulbasaur from EX Delta species, but someone is. Now, another thing is slabs. At my first show I vended, I didn't sell a single slab. I didn't necessarily have bricks, and it's not like people weren't interested in them. It just depends on the buyer and the day and how much money people are willing to spend. But my best recommendation would be to bring as much inventory as you can so you can maximize your sales. And if you really think about it, having inventory and having a place to display your inventory is really all you need. So now let's get into things that aren't necessarily essential, but things that would be very beneficial. Sleeves and top loaders are very good for obvious reasons. If someone rips a pack at your table and pulls a really cool or expensive card, you're going to want to help them sleeve it. And chances are you might want to buy it too. If you take in more inventory, you can put them in top loaders and put them back in your display case, or if there's cards that are in different colored sleeves or not clear sleeves, you can re-sleeve them so they look nicer when they go back into your display case. Now that also brings us to stickers and Sharpies and pens. Let's say you take some cards in that you want to display back into your case. You can sticker them on the spot, price them on the spot, and have them out for people to buy immediately. And seriously, don't overthink it. You can use sticky notes, you could use literally anything for price stickers. I picked these up at the dollar store and they work perfect. Now for my first show, I never had a tablecloth. My table looked very bland and stood out like a sore thumb rather than a table that was worth checking out. Luckily, my vendor neighbor let me borrow one of his tablecloths for the day and it made a huge difference. I mean, it's not even close. Now you can find these literally anywhere. Just get anything that's going to cover your table. You can bring a blanket from home if you wanted to. Now most card shows run for 7 to 8 hours, so the chances are you're gonna get hungry. Make sure you pack yourself a light lunch and eat while you have downtime, if you even have any. Now vendors do everything on their phones, price cards, literally everything. So what happens when their phone dies? Well, they don't let it happen. Portable chargers are a great idea. I mean, I don't have to say much else. Just bring a portable charger. And please don't forget charger cords. I seriously just did this the other day and it sucked. I really had to maintain my battery. Now, if you're recording content, make sure you pack all the equipment that you need and make sure everything is charged the night before, whether it's SD cards, your tripod, your batteries, your camera, anything. Everybody's content's different and everybody brings different equipment, so just make sure you know what you need and make sure you pack it. So that basically covers everything that you need to bring to the show physically. But just because you have everything doesn't mean you're ready to go. Now let's talk about pricing your cards. When pricing cards, I tend to price the cards going in my display case first and then my binder cards afterwards. I find it a tad bit easier to price the cards in my display case because they're normally more liquid or have more sales data, so it makes the process a little bit faster. Once those are out of the way, then I can take the time to price out the binder cards. Now, don't overthink it. When I price my cards, I simply take recent comps, average them out, and then price just a little bit higher. That leaves room for negotiation where both parties can be happy. There's various ways to price your cards, and there's not a set rule or app that you need to use in order to price your cards properly. When pricing modern singles, I simply just use price charting. The majority of modern cards are near mint, so I simply just look at recent sales and average them out. Now for older cards or cards where I'd have to price based on condition, I just look at eBay last sold. So XY cards, some Sun and Moon cards, even lots of vintage. Looking at eBay last sold gives you the ability to compare the pictures with your card itself and price according to that. Now once all of my singles are priced out, I obviously move on to my slabs. Now when pricing slabs, it's a little bit easier and more efficient because you don't have to price according to condition. When I'm pricing my slabs, I also use price charting, but I also compare it with alt. Now I'm Canadian and alt only uses USD, so I do have to convert it in my calculator, but it just takes a second. Now both apps use eBay last sold, but one or the other might lag the market a little bit and not pick up certain sales, so I just like to compare with both to be extra sure. Now if there's not much sales data on some cards, then you might just have to look at lowest listed or what current auctions are at on eBay. Alright, so you have everything that you need. You have your inventory priced out, you have a display case, you got your tablecloth, you got it all. But there's one more thing, you gotta get your bread up. Now if you're just selling cards, you're gonna run out of inventory fast. You also need to be buying cards and taking cards in for trades. Especially when you're first starting out, you're gonna need lots of cash on hand so you can keep inventory in. Most vendors will buy between 70 to 80% cash and around 80 to 85% in trades. It can definitely vary depending on the card or if you're picking up a huge lot at once. I try to pay a tad bit higher just so I can beat the competition and make sure that I can secure that inventory for myself. Alright, I think we're all good here. Let's get a good night's rest and I'll see you guys on the way to the show. Bit of a foggy day today. We're currently on our way to the show. It is 8:06 a.m. We're about 15-20 minutes out. We're looking to get there around 8:30. We just have to stop and grab some coffee, drop the baby off at grandma's, and then the fiance and I will be doing the show. So we like to get there about an hour to an hour and a half in advance just so we can set up, make sure our table's all good, and just make sure we have no additional stressors that are unneeded. So yeah, we're just about there. So we'll see you guys at the show. Alright, we're basically all set up for the show. Here's the display case. A couple of vintage bangers over here, the Van Gogh Pika, all the slabs, the Unigaba, Umbi, Christine 10 Ivysaur, a couple other 10s, Pikachu EX in a 6, still 350 bucks. A couple of VMAXs, some alt arts, some Arceus cards up here, some trainer galleries, tons and tons of illustration rares, some promos over here. All right, we're here, we're all set up. Next show in Woodstock, Family Day weekend. Hopefully it's gonna be very busy. Lots of people with their kids can come on by. We got lots of free cards to give out. Hopefully it's gonna be a nice busy day. We'll see how it goes.